is very important. It's called the Customer Experience Maturity Monitor. And the reason we feel like it's very important is that it measures companies' capabilities, what their current practices are in moving toward customer centricity. More importantly, it measures why it matters, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But a lot of the legacy goes back to some of the foundation work that Peppers and Rogers Group did in the
Our first book came
90s.
out in 1993. It was called The One-to-One Future. And it basically said, look, the technology is changing from technologies that mandate mass marketing to technologies that mandate really thinking about one customer at a time and how to make the most of each of those relationships. And so here we were talking to our clients about things that required deep customer insight by individual customer, and here's SaaS developing the tools for the analysis and other things of that customer analytics and the customer insight. So it was a natural fit. We've been, the companies have been good friends. I'd like to think that the individuals at SAS and Don Peppers and I have been good friends for years and years, right? It goes back a long way.
Well, we do go back a long ways. And when you look at it, kind of the beginning, most of the business models are Industrial Revolution era business models, and they're built around managing product-centric areas. Product quality, process quality, and when you look at what the world really doesn't have is what are the measures that define success around customer centricity. And of course SAS has been in the business now for over 30 years, 33 years in providing these enabling capabilities. And so Martha and I felt very frustrated with, well, what are the metrics? Because everybody comes to SAS and to Peppers and Rogers Group and say, well, what should we do? How do we know when we're doing it well? And if we do it well, what can we expect in return?
And how are we doing up against everybody else? We think we're doing all right. Are there a lot of companies ahead of us or not? So they just don't know. So we thought that it would be useful to try to set up something that answered these questions and set up those measurements. And so, because both of us, our companies spend a lot of time trying to help companies, client companies, determine when they are successful, how to manage that by using better measures to compensate their own employees. And so it really becomes a matter of making sure that companies are moving further and further along toward this idea of building longer-term relationships with customers instead of thinking just about how do we make money from a customer right now and then not worry about anything else, just transactional value. We want to make sure that we recognize the value of a customer not just today, but also for the long term. So lifetime values become important measures. What return do we get on each customer? That becomes an important measure. And I'll tell you something. I met a guy back when he was a high officer at Amdocs, and he has now branched off, and he's the CEO of a company based in Israel. And they don't have very many customers in Israel, but they have other customers all over the world that come to their gambling website. It's a gaming site. And he says that when he gets a new customer online who registers, that within 20 minutes, he can tell you exactly how much he's going to make from that customer for the rest of his life.
Well, Martha said something I think is very important, which is kind of a different focus. When you look at CRM versus customer experience management, CEM, there's a difference. Yeah. And customer relationship management began in the 1990s, primarily focused on short-term outcomes, automating a sales transaction business model.
It was mostly, the term CRM really refers to the capabilities, tools, in many cases, the software and all that sort of thing, as opposed to a way of doing business.
It does, Mark, and I think what's really interesting is that it's automating the product push marketing model where a company says, I've got these products, today I need to find customers, I need to target customers. So it was about automating that sales transaction business model primarily at a product and channel level and for the short term.
Right, sure.
Now contrast that to customer experience management, and the difference is principally that it looks at customers as lifetime annuities. So that's very important because it requires the organization to develop capabilities at an enterprise level for managing the customer experience across products, across channels, but importantly across the customer's lifetime. And it causes the company to do things differently.
Right.
And customers can perceive it.
So it's all about segmentation?
Oh, no.
Well,
that's more than segmentation.
Well, segmentation is a great start, but the fact of the matter is that we could do segmentation before any of the things that we're talking about started. Mass marketers got fancy when they did segmentation.
That's
You take
right.
a mass market and you drop machetes out of the ceiling and
You create more
chop it up
street
into-
markets.
and you look for groups of people. Think about it. Mass marketing is, by definition, a way for me to figure out as a marketer how I can do the same thing for everybody, and that's how I make money, is being as efficient as possible. Segmentation is really a smaller version of that. Now I look for something that smaller groups have in common so that I can still do the same thing for everybody within the segment. But what we're talking about now is making sure that if I'm a segment manager, then I'm not just knowledgeable about what everybody in my segment wants, but I'm knowledgeable to a certain extent about that, and then I need to understand something about each of them. Because if you're my customer, and I can get you to talk to me, there's so many interactive technologies now. If I can get you to talk to me and I can use database management to remember what you tell me, and I can use analytics, SAS, to understand what I remember that you told me, then I can know something about you my competitors don't know, and then I can do something for you